And we are going to create I'm going to call it a kinematic start file. Okay. So before we even really get going, I'm going to save it as exactly that. So I'm going to do a file, save as, and you're going to navigate to where you're going to be able to pull this up each time you want to do a kinematic diagram. So if you plan on working off campus and you're using the computers here, a flash drive might be the best place to put it. Or if you're already on a computer that you plan on working on all the time, then you can save it wherever you want to. If you plan on being on campus on a regular basis or even off campus and you have access to your OneDrive, that's a good place to put it as well. That's where I'm going to put mine. So I'm going to navigate to my OneDrive here at WCTC. I have a folder called Mechanical Design Courses. You don't have to have it set up exactly this way. And then I have a kinematics folder that I have here. Okay. And I'm just going to simply drop it right in there. Okay. And I'm going to call this drawing Kinematic Start. And you can put spaces between if you want to. Okay. And then just make sure that your file type at the bottom is a DWG. Okay. DWG. And then you're just going to save it. Okay. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set up some layers before we start drawing. Okay. We're not going to draw on the 0 layer. So we're going to add a layer. So we're going to go to layer properties here and the dialog box is going to open up. Yours might be a little bit shorter. I'm not sure why mine goes across the entire screen, but you should kind of get something very similar to this. We're going to select the 0 layer, but we're not going to use it. We're just going to hit enter. And that's how I always like to start my next layer, because what's going to happen is it's going to just copy everything from the previous layer that you selected. And here I'm going to call this object. Okay, so just like an object layer, object line layer, and then enter. And then we're going to go over to the right and you're going to click on the color and, oh, we can leave it white. White is fine. So we're going to leave that okay as white. But the line type is going to be continuous, but the line weight, we're going to make it heavier. Okay. We're going to put it down to, when you click on line weight, it's going to come up with default. We're going to slide down and we're going to do the 0.5 millimeter, 0.5 millimeter thickness. And we're going to hit okay. And then everything else can remain the same. All right. Then I'm going to reselect the object layer. I'm going to hit enter again, or you can just add a layer, whatever you want to do. You can click. I just find I kind of default to this. Then I'm going to do X hatch. So it's like crosshatch. And the color I'm going to use for that is going to be yellow, the regular yellow. Okay. Okay. Continuous line type, but then we're going to go back to line weight and we're going to set that as back up to the top as default. Okay. So it's going to have a thinner line weight as intended than our continuous object line. Then I'm going to re-click on X hatch one more time. I'm going to hit enter, and this layer I'm going to call notes. Okay. And that's where we're going to put any text that we have. And I'm going to click on my color here. I'm going to grab the magenta in the basic color line. Okay. And then this is going to be continuous and the default line weight as well. So it's you know, less heavy than our object line. And those should be the only ones that we need. Let's add a hidden line, only because at times when we get a little bit later, like in chapter 4, which is our next module, we're going to be moving these around and we're going to be showing different phases. So it's probably good. We can add another layer right here, right now, as long as we're in here. We'll do hidden, oopsie, DDEN. And I'm gonna use the green color. If you want to use something else, you can, but I'm gonna use green. And then we may create extra layers along the way as well, but we'll just get these in place. Default line weight, but we want the line type. We're gonna click on continuous and we're gonna load the hidden line type. So we're gonna have to scroll down to hidden and hit OK. And then before we go out of here, you would think it would select hidden, but make sure you select hidden before you leave and then just hit OK. And then double check that your line type changed to a hidden line type. Does everybody have those? So we've got object, X hatch, notes, and hidden. Does anybody need anything here? Everybody's good on that? And the only one that has a different line type is hidden. All of them are continuous except hidden. And then line weight, the object line is the only one that is 0.5. Okay, so then we should be good. We can just X out of here, okay? And now our layers should all be there. So if we arrow down next to our 0 line layer, we're going to click on the object line layer. I always like to have that one active, if you would, on any files that I set up or on any templates, because that's usually the layer I'm going to be drawing on first, if you would. Now, another command that you're going to want to have or have access to is this line weight, display the line weight. And you probably don't have that on there because this is not a default. But if you go down to the lower right-hand corner where we see the customization area with the 3 horizontal lines, these are all the different things that you can put down on your toolbar at the bottom to have quick access to it. Okay. And you want to click on the line weight. Okay. Have that available, have it clicked. And then what you're going to see is you're going to see this line weight down here. Mine kind of is in the middle-ish. Yours might be in a different position, but it's got like 3 lines that have different line widths. It's down here at the bottom right there. Okay. And toggle that on, because what happens then, and I'll just do an example here real quick. If I draw a line on the object line layer, and then if I change it and I draw on my X hatch layer, notice the difference in the line thickness just on my screen. And it's nice to be able to see that when you're drawing. At least I like it. Okay. So, so having your line width on is nice. I'm going to just delete these 2 and go back to my object line layer. Okay. All right. The next thing that we want to do, as long as we're setting up our file right here, is I want to set up and kind of get my screen to like the size of a piece of paper, like 8.5 by 11. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to grab my rectangle or line. I'm going to do the line. I think it's easier to do with the line. I'm going to do the line command. And I want to specify my lower left-hand corner to be at the 0, 0 of my screen. So to do that, right now it's asking me to specify my first point, and I'm just going to key in 0, 0, enter. And now you're probably off the screen. Okay, that's okay. That's all right. All we're going to do is we're going to do a, I'm going to zoom. You should be able to roller towards yourself. Okay, and it should come on the screen for you because it shouldn't be that far off. Is that true for everybody? Are you seeing that 0, 0 at that X and Y intersection? Okay. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to make a rectangle going around 11 and then 8.5. So like in a landscape form, I'm going to put my ortho on. If you don't have ortho activated down on that, you can always go up here to ortho mode, it should say. Here's polar. I don't think these are, did I go past it? 2 more. There it is. Ortho mode. Yes. I was looking for it to be in alphabetical order, but it's not. Ortho mode is right there. So make sure that that's available. And also that your dynamic input is on. Usually that's a default. Is your dynamic input on for everybody? Meaning that you have those dimensions as you move. Do you guys have that on? I'm not. Yes. Okay. It's usually the default for when you go into AutoCAD. So now when I'm pushing my cursor over to the left, before I start clicking, I'm simply going to put in 11. Then I'm going to move straight up and I'm going to put 8.5. And then I'm going to go back in the opposite direction, 11, just making a rectangle. And then I'm going to hit C for close and it's going to make that rectangle for me. Now I'm going to zoom extents. Okay. So I'm going to hit zoom or Z, enter, and then E, enter. And now it's going to fill my screen. Okay. Everybody here with me so far? Just kind of sets your screen up so it's like a normal piece of paper. All right. That's what the size is. Any questions, anybody? Everybody okay so far? All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my roller. I'm going to roll it 1 tick. I'm going to put my cursor in the middle here. I'm going to roll it 1 tick towards me so I can see the rectangle on my screen. Okay. And now I'm going to erase it. I know it sounds kind of silly, but I'm going to erase it now. Erase it, enter, and it's gone. Okay. And then we're just going to say File, Save, and it should save it right there as your kinematic. So if you haven't, make sure that your object layer is active. I didn't tell you to do that, but it should be because we were kind of messing around with that. Make sure that your XY is kind of in this position that we have right now. And then any other things that you like at the bottom. I tend not to like the grid or the snap-on, but you may, which is fine. And then you just save this as that kinematic start file. And it's going to be what we use to pull up, okay, each time. All right, any questions? So don't like save over the top of that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a kinematic diagram, all right? And which one do we want to do? Well, why don't we do one of our homework problems? That way we can get ahead on that. Does that sound okay to you? Let's do that. It's so fun. So I'm going to go underneath. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at problem 1.1 or 1-1. And you'll notice that the different elements that we have in here, there's really only two that you probably want to have available all the time. And we're going to put those in that file as well. One is going to be a slider and one is going to be the frame. Okay. Because the rest of them are simply going to be lines. Okay. That you just have to create. But a slider is like kind of a standard symbol. And so is the frame. So we're going to have a slider on this one and we're going to have a frame member. So let's draw those just in generic form. Now, in this case, our slider is going to be vertical going up. So we'll draw a vertical slider in that orientation. And then we'll also draw a frame member we see here. So let's go back to AutoCAD. And I'm not going to worry so much about spatial relationships right now. I'm just going to get them on here and then it's going to be part of my kinematic start file as well. So, so how do we do this? We're going to start with the frame member. So we're going to create a circle. And actually, I'm going to go underneath here first. We know that our frame needs to be, that one doesn't look so great, but our frame symbol is going to be a joint in the middle, a half circle on the top, and then we're just going to extend this down a little bit, and then we're going to draw a line, and it's going to have hatching down below. That's what we're going to try to achieve here. So we're going to start by drawing the circle first with the center, two lines going down, trimming away that inside of that circle, and then we're going to draw a horizontal extended past, and then we're going to do the hatching on the bottom, okay? And that's going to be our frame. And then we can rotate that frame around or orient it however we want when we have our drawing that we have in mind. So I'm going to start by creating a circle. And my circle is going to be, now again, we have our piece of paper, if you would, on our screen. So this is not going to be super huge. So I'm just going to draw a circle about that big. Okay. Now I'm going to zoom into it. Okay. And then I'm going to draw two vertical lines going down. So I'm going to do a line and I'm going to grab, I want it to be on my quadrant. So if you recall, you can do shift right mouse button and all of your object snaps come up. You guys remember doing this? Depends on the teacher probably, but this is something I use on a regular basis so that if your running object snaps aren't set with what you want, you can simply say, oh, shift right mouse button, and now they're all available to me. Okay. The other thing you can do if you like this, the other thing that you can do is you can go up to that little down arrow next to the share. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not this one. It's tools, toolbars, and AutoCAD. It's right there. I knew it was right there. So it's tools, toolbars, AutoCAD. And what you can do is find the object snaps. And that's a toolbar that can come out. And notice that it populated right here. These are also the symbols for the object snaps if you want to use it that way as well. So I'm going to go back into my line command. You can either click on one of these. So my quadrant is what I'm interested in because I want to grab that quadrant on the left-hand side and put a vertical line going down. Quadrant on the right-hand side, vertical line going right down. So I'm going to click on that. And I just want to go like here-ish, okay? It's not going to be super exact, no big deal. And then I'm going to hit escape and I'm going to be done there. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the right-hand side. Quadrant, oh, it doesn't grab it. So I'm going to hit that quadrant up here on my toolbar. Click there, go straight down. Now I want it to be in line with. So if I activate that point on the bottom there, your snap to lines should be again a default. Do you guys get that? Okay, so you can click when you get down there and then escape to be done. Right?
You can turn those different things on if you go.
Yep, I know. Yeah, running. Yeah, that's if you have the running object snaps on here. Yeah. It's not one I normally have active, so then I always just do my shift right mouse button and it's right there too. Or you can use the object snaps toolbar. And now what I want to do is I want to draw a horizontal line that extends a little bit past or down on the bottom. So I'm going to do line. I'm going to activate this point. I'm going to go to the right a little bit and go past it and then go to the left a little bit. And then there that is. Okay. So everybody here so far? And yours can vary a little bit in looks, but it has to kind of resemble, you know, that frame, you know, type of look. And then I'm going to do a trim for this portion of my circle. So I'm going to do the trim, the scissors up top, and then click the part that I don't want and hit enter. Okay. Then I'm going to do another circle, and this is going to go to the center of that circle. So if you happen to have the running object snaps activated, or if you don't, again, shift right mouse button, and you can find the center right here. So it'll just focus on the center. And then now I just want to put a little circle in the middle there, just a little one, because that's going to be my, my pin joint on the inside. Okay. The last thing I need to do is I need to fill that pin joint in and then add the hatching on the bottom. So I'm going to change my layer now to the hatch layer. I'm going to go over to the hatch command, which is in the draw section, bottom right here. Okay. And then I am going to, for the fill on my circle, I'm going to use a solid fill. Okay. And this is also going to be what we use for any joints. Okay. So a solid fill, I'm going to just click on that on the inside, and then I'm going to hit OK. All right. Then we're going to keep that X hatch active, and we're going to create a rectangle. So I'm going to take the rectangle, the corner rectangle, and I'm going to grab that either bottom left hand or upper right hand corner. I'm going to turn my ortho off. The solid fill, you go to the hatch command, and the solid fill is right here. There you go. Okay, there you go. I know it's not one that we use very often, right? So we kind of forget about it, but then it's right there. All right, so I'm going to do a rectangle, corner rectangle. I'm going to go down and kind of go over here-ish, right? About that far. So I'm just going to create a rectangle that I'm going to now do a hatching in, but this time I'm not going to do solid. I'm going to do ANSI 131. Okay, this one has the separations at an angle, and then I'm going to go down in there and just kind of judge that spacing. I want mine to be a little further apart. So I'm going to change my scale, which is right here below angle, from a scale of 1 to a scale of 1.5. See. Okay, and I'm going to go back down in there and kind of preview. I kind of like that better. Okay, personal choice. All right, and I can hit OK. All right. And now I want to get rid of that rectangle because all I want is the hatching underneath. So I'm going to go to my erase. I'm going to click on just the rectangle, not the hatching, just the rectangle, and then enter, and then just the hatches left. So I don't have lines over the top of each other. Okay, because that's bad business. All right, so I've got a frame on here, right, as part of my Kinematics start file. Okay. Does it not a bad idea to do a file save right now as the Kinematics start file? The next thing I want to add, or the other thing I want to add, is going to be a slider. Okay, a slider. So a slider is just going to be a rectangle with a hole, with one of those joints, those pin joints in the middle. So I'm just going to draw one over here. I'm going to do a rectangle. Oh, I want to go back to my object line layer. Okay, I'm going to draw a rectangle, and I'm going to draw this rectangle. I'll do it in a vertical sense because the problem we're going to do is going to be vertical. So here's going to be my slider. random rectangle, nothing super accurate here. Okay. And then in the middle of that rectangle, I want to show my pin joint, okay? Because something's always going to connect to it. So to do that, to find that center, I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to go from one corner to the other, turn my ortho off right there. And then I'm going to do another line from corner to corner. Okay. And right at that intersection now is the center. Okay. Now I'm going to take the same size pin joint that I created on my frame. I'm going to copy that to be at that center of that rectangle. So I'm going to do my copy command, which is right below move. I'm going to select the outside circle and the hatching, hit enter. My base point is going to be the center of that circle. And then my other position is going to be at the intersection. If you need to do shift right mouse button, intersection, it's going to be the intersection of those two lines. Okay. And then for good measure, I'm just going to put another one like right here out in space. Okay. And then I'm just going to hit enter. And the reason I do that is because when you're creating their kinematic diagrams, you're going to have to put these joints at wherever they are. And now you have one that's done and it's the same size as the other ones that you have on the screen. Okay. Now I'm going to get rid of my crisscrosses here. I'm going to erase those. Okay. And then lastly, I'm going to create a vertical line that is going to have the hatching on just like I have here. Okay. So I'm going to do a vertical line inline here. I'm going to start down below here a little bit. And then I'm going to go up and to here. I don't want to do lines over lines. And I'm going to start here. And then I'm going to go up a little ways. Okay. How are we doing so far? Any questions? Doing okay? Piece of cake? Is it all coming back? AutoCAD? It's like riding a bike, right? I'm going to go to my X hatch layer. And this is going to be the angled ones. So I'm going to do, I have to create my rectangle first. So I'm going to do that. Create my rectangle about right here-ish, right? Right there. Okay. Again, nothing super accurate. But now I'm going to fill my hatch there. So I'm going to do the hatch function. I'm going to go to ANSI 131, make sure that that's still there. And then it should have the same 1.5 scale that I had on my other one when I do want that to be consistent. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to delete the yellow rectangle, just the yellow rectangle, not the other part. There we go. And if we kind of zoom out a little bit here, there is a slider, a frame, and a pin joint. All right. And then I'm going to save. I'm going to go back to my object line layer, make sure that that's active. Make sure everything down here, whatever you want your object or running object snaps to be, or you want your grid to be. Make sure that your layers are in the background here. Object line layer is active. And I'm just going to do a file save. There's my Kinematics start file. Okay. So every time I go into AutoCAD now and I'm going to draw a kinematic diagram, I'm going to pick that kinematic start file. And then I'm going to resave it as whatever I want to call it. So now that I have it here, is everybody all done with their start file? You feel comfortable and confident and it's all good? You can always play around with it and set it the way you want it to. But now we're going to do example 1.1. Okay. So I'm going to do a file save as, and it'll go back to that same directory where I have my kinematic start. And I'm going to rename this now as a new file. Okay. So that kinematic start is exactly the way I want it when it comes in. And I'm going to call this, I don't know, what do we call this? Prob 1 _1. I don't know if you can use dashes in AutoCAD file names. So I'm just going to do an underscore. I know you can use underscore. It didn't yell at you? Okay. Well, then maybe the dashes are fine. Okay, cool. Creo is kind of funky with it. Yeah. So I think AutoCAD is a little bit more like Windows. can practically write a book and then call it that. All right. So if you want to check to make sure that your file is no longer Kinematics start, it's going to be up here at the top. You should see your path to where the file is saved, and it should be now called prob_1 or 1_1, and your tab should also be called that very same thing. Okay. And indeed mine is. So it's renamed. All right. So now we can create our kinematic diagram here in AutoCAD. So let's go underneath. Let's look at that first file. And what I would suggest doing is to first create a sketch of it, okay, on the side, and then putting it like officially in AutoCAD. So go ahead and just create a sketch. You don't have to put all the labels on your sketch. Just create a sketch here of what you think this kinematic diagram is going to look like. We've got our handle here. It pivots around to that point, connecting rod, and then the door is going to go up and down. The door is going to go up and down. So you want to make sure you identify where your frame is, you're connecting to, and we've got a handle, a connecting rod, and a slider, right? So your kinematic diagram should look something like this. Nothing like a heat treat door. Just got triangles and frames and sliders. Do you guys agree with this? Do you have anything different? Yeah.
So we don't have to take this out.
Nope. Nope. Kinematic diagram, stripped down version of, right? Yep. No feet. Don't care. We're just going to represent it with those standard things, right? There may be details as the designer, depending on what you're designing for, you might add, but no, as far as a kinematic diagram, this is it. This is it. Okay. And now we want to translate this to AutoCAD. Okay. So as you can see, we already have drawn our frame member. So I'm going to rotate mine so it's kind of out of the way of the other stuff, which is easy to do. And then I'm going to have my frame over, or I'm sorry, my slider over here, and I'm probably going to mirror it because I want to have that on this side. So it's, again, kind of not in the middle of things. So let's go back to AutoCAD. Now we don't have any dimensions here. So again, proportions is all we're going to be really going for. So for this particular item, I'm going to move this up. Okay. And then I'm going to rotate it around. Now, again, I'm kind of assuming you guys are feeling comfortable with AutoCAD. So I'm going to rotate that. Here's my base position. If you're ever wondering, I'm sure whoever you had for AutoCAD before, watch your command line. It'll always tell you what operation you need to do. There's no reason to have to memorize what comes first or next or anything like that. So I'm going to rotate mine around. I'm going to move my slider over here, and then I'm going to mirror it. Oopsie. I tend to mirror. I tend to key in all of my commands. When I'm teaching it, I don't. But do I want to erase? Yes. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Now, if you don't rotate yours, it doesn't bother me. It's not really essential, but because when I draw everything, if I would have it going in this direction, it would be over the top of my handle. That's the only reason. Okay. But if you show it in the orientation that we had it, it's really fine. Okay. It's just a preference that I have. Oh, you could do that too. Yes, that would make sense. That would totally make sense. Okay. So then now I'm simply going to draw my objects. So I'm going to be on the object line or object layer. I'm going to start here, and I think I'm going to go about here-ish. Okay. And then I'm going to go on the other side. Okay. And then create my triangle. So that's going to be representative of my handle. Then on the end point there, I'm going to copy my pin joint, and I'm going to put it to the end point right there. Okay. Keep that other one down there so it's available for the next joint that I want to create, which I may not have to. Then I'm going to do a line from here to here for that connecting rod. And I think that's all of my elements. Yes, it is. Get rid of that one, that extra. Okay. I'm going to do a quick save. And then now it's that problem 1-1. Okay. Now I have had students ask me, can I put all my problems in one file for the entire module? And actually, I guess you can, because you're going to be giving me screen snips of your final drawings. Okay. So if you wanted to put them all in like a module 1, assignment 1, and then have, you know, and then just select them individually, that's fine. Can you have the frame at the bottom? No. I'm sorry. Logan, I just saw your question. You can't. The reason you can't have the frame at the bottom is because if we look here, this is not connected to the bottom. Our handle is connected to the frame up here. That's why we have to have it there. Does that? Oh, did you mean that bottom, the question that David asked, right? Who? Adam. Who's David? I have a David. There you. Oh, see, I'm one off. Okay. So Adam asked that very same question. So you're wondering, can you have it flip the original way? Yes, that's totally fine. I just have it like out of the way that I put my orientation. Adam put his triangle part on the top portion. Adam, right? Yeah. I'm like, you're looking at me. I'm like, did I say it right? He put that triangle part on the top so that it wasn't in the way after all. So totally fine. Yes.
Kind of like how, you know, like the books and whatnot, like when an arm is got like some depth to it, like it's not just a line, it's usually colored in or like shaded in.
Don't do that. No.
Okay.
Don't do that. Don't need to. It's unnecessary, honestly. I know that the book does that, and I think it's just I don't know, to maybe add color or interest to the illustrations, but yeah, you don't have to in AutoCAD. This is perfectly fine.
Okay.
I am so anal. It's so, yeah, I guess, can you shade those in? I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't take points off. I will say that, but you also are doing something extra that it's, you know, you don't have to. So it's totally up to you. Okay. All right. So we did our save on this. What's the next thing we need to do? We have our diagram in place. We have all our elements here. What's the next thing we do to finish this diagram up? We need to label it. Right, exactly. So we are going to go now on our hidden, or I'm sorry, on our notes layer. Okay. And then we're going to go to, which one do I want to do? I'll do text and either multi-line or single line. It really doesn't matter. And I'm going to just kind of get a feel for what the size of my text is here. And I know I'm going to have to put the number 1 in place. So it's number 1, enter, oopsie. And I don't want another line. So I'm simply going to click on the outside, and it's a little small. Okay. Now you can go through and do all the stuff in AutoCAD, set your dimensions, set your text and all that kind of stuff to the different sizes. But inevitably, especially when we get into the parts where we're going to be sizing this with actual dimensions, sometimes they're going to be really big, sometimes they're going to be smaller. So what I like to do is I'm not going to mess with the text size. I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to scale that text. So I'm going to hit the scale function, or you can type in SCALE. I'm going to scale that letter. So I'm just going to select that one. I'm going to hit enter. And then the base position is going to be right by it. And I'm just going to kind of go out. I clicked once, and then I'm going to make it about that big. And there it is. Okay. You guys, you get a feel for how that scale worked? So I'm going to do it again, scale, click on it, enter. Then I'm going to do the base position, and then I can just kind of go in really any direction away. And then I'm going to do it right about that size. Okay. And that way, like I said, if your kinematic diagrams get larger or smaller, you can just adjust the text like that. And now I have this one done. Okay. I'm going to put a circle around it. So I'm going to go to my circle command, go about in the middle here, put a circle around it, about like that. Okay. And then I'm going to move it next. Oopsie. I got to get my circle as well. Oh, no. Why did that do that? Okay. I better save. I don't know why I went blank all of a sudden. So I want to move. Okay. And I'm going to move it by my frame. Oopsie, let me go out by my frame, like right about there. Okay. Now, instead of doing number 2 and doing it the very same way, I'm going to copy number 1 with the circle. Okay. And my base point is going to be the center. Then this is going to be number 2. This is going to be number 3. And this is going to be number 4. I'm going to hit enter. And then now all I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on each one to get in a text editing mode. And I'm going to change the number. And then you just click on the outside. Double click, backspace 3, click on the outside, and then double click, backspace 4, click on the outside. Okay. All of our links are going to have a number. Frame is always number 1. And they're going to have a circle around it. Okay. Just like we did when we were sketching them. I'm going to do a quick save just in case. All right. Then what do we have to do next? Letters, right? Letters for our joints. So here too, I'm going to copy one of my numbers. I'm going to grab the number 1, just the number, because remember, my letters do not need circles around them. So I'm just going to grab that one number, and I'm going to do the base position here, and I'm going to get kind of close-ish, right? And I'm going to go to the next one. And then I'm going to go to the next one, and then the last one. So you should have 4 number 1s in place right now, but we're going to change each one of those to A, B, C, and D. So double clicking on the first one here, backspacing, this is my letter A, and it has to be capital letter A, okay, all caps, and then click on the outside to end that. Then I'm going to double click on what will be B, capital B, double click or single click out on the outside. Then I'm going to have C and D. Oops. No. I'll move the D away a little bit. See? How are we doing? Any questions? I'm gonna move that C out a little bit. And for the most part, those are the skills that you need in AutoCAD. That's it. It's not too bad. No circles. Nope. Just like we did it on our diagrams. No circles around the joint letters. Only circles around the link numbers. Yep. Oh yeah, we can ask, we can see, did we want, oh yeah, it does say the end of the handle should be defined or identified as a point of interest. So point of interest is going to be like the X, Y's, and Z's, right? So we'll do X. I'm going to do a copy. I'll take my letter A here and I'll put it out at the end. Thank you for that reminder. Double click it. And X. Cool. Now I think we're pretty done, right? Now, this is your kinematic diagram. This is the first part, you know, of, if you would, this problem. There's two parts to this problem. The first part is going to be problem 1-1, where it says draw the kinematic diagram, okay? And the second part of this problem is going to be 1-26, where we calculate the mobility, okay? So you can put that mobility calculation here if you wanted to write on the text. So if you wanted to grab out one of those texts and write it out, that's totally fine. Or if you wanted to take a separate piece of paper and say, oh, number 1-26 and write it out on a piece of paper and then take your picture of that and upload it, that's totally fine. However you feel you want to do that, okay? Now, how do we get our kinematic diagram a screen snip? All right, on mine, if you have a laptop, you can do the Windows Shift S, right? That's a screen snip. So I would go Windows Shift S, and then it creates, I do a window, and now this is going to be on my clipboard, right? If you don't have that ability, so if you're on the computers here, okay, it doesn't allow you to do Windows Shift S for some reason. I'm not sure why. So then what you have to do is you need to get the snipping tool on your taskbar. And you do that by going down here at the very bottom. You can do a search for snip, and it'll kind of populate with snipping tool app. Okay. And you can click that, and it should go probably down to your taskbar or kind of in the background. Do you guys see that? Did that happen? All right. And then now what you're going to do is you're going to click new. Okay. And now it goes into that mode where now you can create that window. You're going to click, you're going to drag, and then you're going to release when you've got the window around it. And then now you can save this file, save as. You can navigate to where you want to save it as. So for instance, if you want to put it on your OneDrive or on your flash drive, you're going to navigate to where you want to put that. And then here, it's a JPEG file, which you can upload to Canvas. Not a problem into that assignment. And you can call this, if you want to call it mod, I don't know what you want to call it. You can call it whatever you want. Mod1 _ prob 1-1 or something like that. Okay. Then you can hit save. And then when you're ready to upload that to Canvas, you can navigate to that file and then just select it and it goes there. Okay. The other thing that you can do is if you have the screen snip like I did, like this, another method would be if you want to open up, let's say, a Windows document, okay? Or I'm sorry, a Word document or a Google Doc. You can do it that way too. And go here, go up here. And what you can do is you can say, oh, this is problem 1-1. You don't have to put like module 1, chapter 1, anything like that, because you're going to be uploading this to assignment number 1, which I know is module 1, chapter 1. Okay, so just the problem number is nice. And then you can just do a Control V for paste. And then you can grab these ends and you can, make it smaller if you want to. Okay, oopsie. And then you can save a file and you can drop the next one in and the next one and the next one. And you can have one document that you upload to the Canvas. And then that would be another way that you can submit. Okay. So you can do it as individuals, or you can do it as a document where they're all in there. That's totally up to you. Okay. You can, like, if you wanted to, yep, you could do it here then too. You could just write it like right down here, right? Yep. And then put your numbers in if you want to. Absolutely. However you want to, or like I said too, if you don't want to write it out like that, you can write it on a piece of paper. Make sure if you take a picture of it, you're like right above it, kind of like you're taking it above. Don't go at an angle because that's harder for me to read. Just go straight above it and make sure it's nice and clear. And you can also upload that as well. If you have your Canvas app on your phone, you can just navigate to a pic and upload that way too. Lots of different ways, but in the end, as long as you go back and you look and that it's all readable for me, that's all that I'm concerned about. I'm not too picky on the formatting that you have when you hand in. Okay, as long as all the elements are there and they're easy to follow. Okay, so that's, I think, a good example of how you would hand in for those problems in chapter 1. So I'm going to stop the recording right now. Oh, my Zoom is not responding. I don't know why. My computer is working really hard. Logan, you still have me available, don't you? Or did you freeze on me? I think you froze on me. I think I have to close. My computer is really hot too.